you can't niba?
So you pretty much flow with the goal.
I come to the right place then.
Post Rolls Jiu Jitsu Podcast.
Welcome back to the Post Rolls Podcast. It's been a month almost. We've been quite busy since our last podcast, which is awesome. So I'm Miles. This is Nick. We're here with Brandon Hampton, black belt in Jiu Jitsu. I'm super excited to learn more about your profession. It's very cool. So you are a modern day samurai sword maker, if you will, right? It's very cool.
Have you ever considered, like, you should really learn kendo? You should learn how to sword fight of some type.
Yeah, there's so many things to learn. You know, I'm already pretty
but how
poor
cool.
at one martial art, so I guess I could.
That's not true.
I guess I
That's
could.
right. I love it. I love the humility. Yeah, you did great today. We had a fun roll today.
Yeah, I enjoy rolling with all you guys.
Sorry, it was just so much.
Slamming it.
How are you drinking that without ice?
The guy who, so to clarify with the whole samurai business, I make knives, and the guy who taught me how to make knives, it was kind of a foregone conclusion. I'd show up at the shop and he'd be like, "Are we doing Jameson or Sailor Jerry tonight?" I'm like, I feel like we should probably not use heavy machinery to make knives while drinking, but that's just the way it works. The knife gods demand a liver sacrifice, and I've gotten really good at making knives and all the things that go with it. So I brought some Nika coffee grain whiskey, which is
Amazing.
real yummy. The Japanese do a pretty good job, but I like most whiskeys.
I knew a barber once that needed a couple of beers to steady his hands for the haircuts.
I think that guy might need.
He was an amazing barber.
To steady his hands.
Oh, whoa! You should see the fades he could make.
I feel like I'm not so worried about a stylist drinking so much as if your tattoo artist is drinking. That won't grow back,
But barbers,
That's right.
barbers are shaving necks.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Oh, he was steady.
Just close
3 beers in,
shaven.
you should see him. He was as steady as a rock.
3 beers in.
Yeah.
I was at there's a barbershop that I used to go to in Escondido, and we used to go in the morning, and they would always offer me shots at like 9:30 a.m. and I'd be like,
my God.
"No, I got shit to do," And then my schedule changed. I started going in the afternoon, and I'm guessing that they were shots in because then the guy started telling me about his problems with his baby mama and this and that. And I was like, I don't think I want to come here anymore.
That's enough. Hey, can you turn my mic down a little bit? Which one's fine?
Your headphone or your mic?
My headphone.
Just tell him no.
How's that? Hello.
No different.
It's no different?
I don't think so.
And maybe that's my headphones. How about this?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, that's 0.
Okay, there you go.
4?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
It's better. Cool.
So Brandon's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, black belt in making knives. But, dude, I feel like how fucking awesome would it be if you just, I could see a cutscene, like a montage of you, shaping a blade, preferably with a hammer involved, even though I know you don't, that's not how necessarily you do it.
So there's a lot that goes into learning a martial art around a blade. So I'm always trying to find the most practical solutions for things. The whole reason I got into jiu-jitsu was not because I wanted to fight people. It was because I wanted something that would increase my longevity. I was the fat kid in high school that didn't do
Your life longevity? Or
Yeah. So I
sexual longevity?
Well, I mean, clearly. But
It didn't help me with that. Sorry.
I was the fat kid in high school. I did band, so I didn't have to do PE. I never weightlifted before I was 20. Nothing like that. And when I
Can't tell. You got sharp cheekbones, nice jawline, and everything.
blush.
No.
Well, when I started making knives, it was for Strider knives, and they're all tactical. And I was the only dude in the shop that was never in some kind of special forces. And I didn't like being the worst shape of all the people there and also the youngest guy. So I was like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
well, what do the people here do? And everybody was like, Muay Thai. They'll, punch you in the head and stuff. I'm like, that doesn't sound great. And then they were like, do Krav Maga. They'll break your wrist the first day. I'm like,
Teach you how to twist somebody's dick off.
Fight multiple attackers, multiple dicks.
I was like, what are these scenarios, And then Dwayne Dwyer, he's the one who taught me how to make knives, and I don't know if he was a black belt at the time, but he got me to start at Nelson Montero's.
Oh, sorry. Did I make that swishy noise in the mouth in the mic?
No, I'm sorry. I was making fun of you for putting that down as lightly as you possibly could, like it was loud. So,
sorry. Go ahead.
Nelson's. So you're still at Nelson's, right? That's where you got your black belt.
No.
Oh, different Nelson.
So Nelson Montero is where I started in 2010, and
That's Gracie Baja and Sanitas.
Yeah, Gracie Baja and Sanitas. And I trained there for a really long time, and they're still all awesome, and I love all the guys over there. And one of his black belts, Professor Aaron Collins, is at Carlsbad Jiu Jitsu in Carlsbad.
Okay.
And he was Gracie Baja, and then it split. I don't know the details behind that, but they're all still cool.
That's cool.
And Aaron's the one who gave me my black belt.
Right on.
And
Nelson's I don't know Aaron, but I know Nelson's quite a inspirational figure. Because I don't know how old he is, but man, he is in fantastic shape and promotes a healthy lifestyle and stuff, and he's very cool.
yeah.
I've told you this before. When I was trying to find a place to open, I was just going to open somewhere in North County, and it was more about like where I could get a place to rent. I was like, wherever I can find a place, that's where I'm going to open. And there was like this really awesome property. There was it was already a gym. It had showers and stuff. And I was like, oh, sweet. And I went to go in Encinitas, and I went to go look, and it was in the coolest place. And I pull up into the area, and then like on the other side, same parking lot, like same building, but just units down was that gym, was Nelson's gym. And I was like, oh, there's a Gracie Baja here. And I went in, it's like this fucking huge gym. And he's a red belt, I think, right? It's like there's a coral, he's a coral belt.
Coral belt.
So it's like a coral belt teaching class, this giant, nice gym. Like, fuck, I'm not going to open here.
He's got like more than 60 black belts there now.
You should have totally opened there. That would have been amazing. Sell different products.
It's funny because I met him that day, but not really knowing who he was. And now I know about him just because I've been in the area more. But I just had to pop my head in. He was like, hi. And I was like, oh, hey. And I just turned around and walked out because I was not trying to have a conversation. Well, I didn't want to tell him, like, oh, I'm trying to open a gym. So
I'm scouting this place.
He's a cool guy, though. He's always so positive. I think I got a lot more than just jiu-jitsu from him. Like,
that's awesome.
I've been rolling with people that were visiting and had them all upset with me. And I'm like, what's the problem? They're like, why are you smiling? I'm like, Nelson always smiled. He'd be smashing the crap out of someone. You could just see him like, I'm enjoying my day.
Wow.
I'm like, well, I kind of feel the same way. I don't get to train as often as I'd like. So if I'm here, this is valuable time that I'm really appreciative of. I've got 3 kids now. I own my own business. Like, I get to train once, maybe twice a week. So if I'm here, this is a golden hour for me.
Do you intentionally smile when you roll? Or you are smiling?
I think...
Hey, you're...
I definitely
goes this way.
You just made me realize that you're getting rid of the moneymaker here a little bit. Okay.
Oh, well,
I think he's making it better.
You just reminded me. I think I have rolling bitch face. I think I'm like always grimacing when I roll. I'm never smiling.
Well, what I want to know is why these people even saw your facial expression. Like, why were they looking at your face?
Yeah, especially when you're in north south.
Nelson definitely has an old school style, and I picked up on that. So I'm really all about side control, mount. Obviously back takes if I can get them. But
no, but if somebody mounts me, I don't look up at their face. I'm not just like, hello. Like, that's super, so intimate.
I close my eyes. I'm like, I don't want to see what this gross guy's doing.
But isn't that the best part of an Ezekiel choke, is that you can watch the life drain from their face?
That is fun.
I look in their eyes if I'm choking them, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. You got to see when,
My favorite thing is to choke someone from the back and you can feel their heart rate. And then as you get closer, you feel it pick up.
Oh my God.
That's my favorite.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
No, the looking in the eyes is the better one for me. And you always got to make up a backstory so they get really worried. They're like, oh yeah, you think I don't know what you did? Then they got to. They're racing through their mind. What did I do to this guy? Is this
fuck? He knows. How did he know?
Oh my God, that's a Boss Rutan.
You sound just like her. What did she do?
That is a Boss Rutan technique. He used to always talk about when you like one of his favorite head kick setups was just to look down at their feet and then just kick them in the head. There was this guy that I used to train with, and I remember him saying like he visited a gym in England or something like that. He's like, yeah, I went out there and trained. I rolled with this guy, and he just stared in my eyes the whole time. Like when we started from minute one, like he's trying to pass my guard, didn't even look down at his grips. He just looked in my eyes.
Whoa. Sounds like a Gracie Humaida guy. No, I'm just kidding. I have no idea. I have no idea.
I got to say, that'd be pretty disconcerting.
Yeah, I mean, it seems
but
like
see,
it would work.
I always feel like I'm failing, and I'm always looking everywhere. I might not even notice. Guys like, I'm going to stare into your eyes. I'm like, I mean, maybe. I don't know.
We're making no connection.
I was losing before that, you know.
Oh, good.
So where does your last name come from? Hampton.
From the Hamptons, of course.
I assume Hampton, England.
Okay.
Which is funny because my dad's like 3% English.
Did you have do you figure, because everybody's name sort of means something, did you figure your family had a ton of ham?
No, honestly, I didn't. My dad's side of the
Thank
family.
you. Well, I'm just trying to, bring something up that you should explore with your family.
No, it's very like Midwestern, like from Wyoming, and we didn't get to see them all that often. Honestly, most of the time when I was with my family, it was with my mom's side, which is Mexican Italian. As you can see from my super dark complexion, it's the same color as my shirt.
Right. Can we put the lights down in here a little bit? Reflection.
So we have two kind of go-to, what do we call them, segments?
Sure.
And the first one...
you guys said you don't have any kind of form like this now.
Oh, that's right, we do. Well, we're trying to be...
More
I'm not going to
official
say more professional,
for
but
all
less...
10 of our fans.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Hey, on two separate occasions now, we've met someone in public. They're like, oh, I like your podcast.
It's awesome.
Two
That's what's
separate
up. Thanks,
occasions.
guys. Thanks for listening.
Well, even the most famous
We
guys
appreciate
in
you guys.
jiu-jitsu, like Gordon Ryan, if he goes to the grocery store, I'm sure has no problem getting to the checkout line. You know, it's
a like, small community.
It's a very tight knit community.
Yeah,
there's no problem. Nobody recognizes him. They're like, gross.
You think people
gray beard?
I don't think anybody recognizes Gordon Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, he's the most famous of jiu-jitsu people.
No, I'm saying like Gordon Ryan doesn't get recognized more than just like if I saw someone in a GB t-shirt, I'm like, oh, he does jiu-jitsu.
Right.
Like I don't think Gordon Ryan gets recognized more than that. Like nobody outside of jiu-jitsu is like, that's Gordon Ryan.
But like if Marcelo Garcia went to LA and like bought groceries and wasn't wearing a jiu-jitsu shirt, I don't think he'd get stopped. And
no, for sure not.
It's like he just looks like a dude.
Nobody
unless he
cares about jiu-jitsu.
happens to walk past another jiu-jitsu guy. Like nobody outside of jiu-jitsu would know who he is.
Yeah.
I was in a grocery store, and I'm not bragging. It was a complete.
Oh, it was a Whole Foods. Is that what you're saying? All right.
Oh, it was a Jimbo's actually. It was pretty high end. Actually, Brandon took me to Jimbo's for the first time.
Jimbo's is nice.
No, but somebody was like, "Oh, dude, I like your YouTube channel," like out loud in front of a lot of people. And I have a tiny YouTube channel, but it was just a coincidence that one guy was there. And I just felt like the fucking, because everybody stopped and
who's this guy? Yeah. How big did your smile get?
I immediately called my wife and I was like, we're going to need to cut a hole in the top of the door for my, I need a bigger space for my head to get through. And then immediately afterwards, I went to two different stores.
Yeah.
And immediately afterwards, I went to another store and somebody came up to me and they're like, hey, are you Nick? And I was like, no. I was like, I'm such a big fucking deal right now. And then somebody goes like, oh yeah, I know your wife. I was like, fuck, I don't care. Have you seen my YouTube channel?
Speaking of though, your Instagram and YouTube, I mean, are you more on Instagram than YouTube, or are you doing both now?
I do both. The Instagram is a little bit bigger just because I started with
more.
Yeah.
But those, the jump clips, the jump cuts to like you in different positions is fucking amazing. It's hilarious.
Me in different positions?
Yeah, you're like, and first we're going to start the conversation here, and now I'm getting some water.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
now
yeah.
I'm sitting on the ball, and now other stuff's happening, and then I'm tapping somebody, but I'm still talking about the same thing. It
keeps attention.
I know it keeps attention, and I haven't done one. I've been meaning to do one.
Yeah,
but they are so good.
Oh,
they
nice,
totally
thanks.
I'm gonna pretend to not be bitter about Instagram right now.
Why are you bitter? Tell us.
Well,
Professor.
So So because I make knives, even though the vast majority of what I make is culinary, the AI sensors see that it's something sharp and pointy, and they tell me flat out that they shadow ban me. So I've got like 27,000 followers, and I'll post something, I get like 4 likes.
Nobody sees it. Yeah, I mean, I follow you, and I don't see your content. Once in a while.
It'll tell me which like 3 posts are problems, and if I delete all of them, it'll just give me another 3 that are problems. So there's no real way out of it. It's just
wow, it doesn't like knives. What do you do? Can you blur out the knife so it looks like you're selling dildos?
Facebook had flown.
I like this one right here. It's sturdy. It's good.
I try to not say the word knife. I'll be like, this is a great chef right here. This is which is like chef's knife, or this is a great petty, which is a type of chef knife, but I won't say the word knife. Wow. But I won't say knife anywhere in there. But they flew me up to Facebook headquarters, and I was up there, and I was talking to the people at Facebook headquarters, like, is there any way to get on like the green list or anything? And they're like, I don't know any of that stuff. Because you know what it is?
There's like no one person to talk to.
Well, here's the thing where like I have to kind of weigh my frustration against the good for humanity. So the way that they used to censor everything on Facebook is they used to outsource it all to like Pakistan. And there's all these like little old ladies in a mud hut getting sent just like 1,000 images a minute of just like people dying and pornography and just like the worst things in the world. And
they would on my feed then.
They would either thumbs it up or thumbs it down. And so these people were going insane.
Yeah,
as you can imagine, 8 hours of just like
it's PTSD. They seriously yeah.
And so now instead they have AI that's not up to par. So I'm like, well, I would rather this than all these poor people in third world countries getting taken advantage of and, you know, driven insane by Facebook. Yeah. So I guess I have to weigh my
wow, that's very commendable.
There's got to be some way for you to do it and not like just not have a
I have a really
when you're looking at him, you're losing your mic, and I can hear your volume dropping.
Okay, good. I'm glad we're both wearing headphones then. Good. I'm gonna put it right over. There we go. Okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to make sure that bar is covering me.
Oh, Brandon the Hammer.
Dude, I feel like there's got to be some way to like, I don't know.
I mean, mostly I just go and I meet up with my chefs. All know me. They're all repeat clients. If somebody has one of my knives, they will probably buy another one because.
I mean, you got to go Twitter. You got to go Twitter. You got to go X. They're not.
I mean, maybe.
But videos don't get a lot of views on X.
I've gone on YouTube. I've gone on
all of X.
I'm just saying, like they don't like algorithms favor certain like mediums.
Oh my God, it's so good to be here with the expert of X algorithms. Thank goodness that you're here, so now we know more.
Well, I'll be honest, it's the worst.
Why are you making fun of me?
It is the worst part of business ownership is that the person who has the control of all the content is typically going to be the owner. And so you have to be really good at teaching jiu-jitsu, but also figure out every social platform ever.
Oh my God, I know.
It's really infuriating. And I'm sitting here going like, well, I've got like 18 knives I'm trying to finish by October 26th when we're doing a knife show up in Woodland Hills. But I also have to make sure that I make some funny reels. It's like I know. You know, it's just. But
well, X is your move then because they're not going to censor it, and then you could have cool like just have links to stuff. Hey, this could cut a man in 3 seconds, and then people are like, oh snap!
And honestly,
I'm not even talking to you anymore.
Why are you so mad about your algorithm knowledge of X? Are you even on X? How many followers do you have on X?
Nothing. But I've used it, and you don't. So I'm not making this up. This is not my opinion. X. I don't even explain it. Go fuck yourself.
Whoa. Well, month apart.
I'll tell you this from a more polarizing industry. What I'll say that I do differently than other knife makers is I don't like the focus to be on me. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of knife makers consider themselves an artist, and so they're always trying to figure out how best to exemplify their own skills and talents. And I run the other direction. So like NBC just did like an article on me or something. They came and filmed me, and they're like, we can come to your shop. I said, don't come to my shop. Come to Tunaville Market with Tommy Gomes. He's got his own TV show, The Fishmonger. He's the best fishmonger in San Diego. He's been cutting fish since he was like 10 and he's
Super cool.
he's been doing this forever. Show him using my knife and have him explain why it's cool. Don't have me explain it, because then I'm sitting here and going like, my knives are real good. Want to buy one? That sucks.
Yeah.
Have the guy who's using it say, this is why my life's easier, is because I cut fish all day and nobody makes knives out of this steel with these things in mind. Nobody asks for my opinion as much as Brandon does. And then you can go, okay, well, that's why you should buy his fillet knife. But I think the same thing rings true for if you're doing jiu-jitsu, you can sit here and go like, well, you should definitely go to Prism Jiu-Jitsu because it's awesome.
That's
and
true.
that's cool. But it's way cooler if you've got like...
Thanks, we're friends again now.
but if you've got your students who are like, this is how it's changed my life, this is how it's impactful,
Yeah.
well, it
For
comes
sure.
across better, which I think is good
Sure,
business
yeah, of
advice
course.
for anyone.
Do you have one 15-second sizzle reel where like I see smoke and I just see your back like flexed and you're grinding something and sparks are flying or anything like that? It's real dark for some reason. You're not using enough light. It's just like,
You're not using enough light. Yeah, you're using a hammer and smashing hot metal, but there's no lights on. There's only the forge.
I'll tell you, there's
Please, I would
a lot of
repost that.
videographers in San Diego, and my favorite one has been Chris Stone. He's SD Foodies. He's an excellent videographer. The problem with videographers is every single one wants to make the whole day about themselves. And what I like about Chris is he'll come in and in like 20 minutes film like the best video you've ever seen. He doesn't have to set up a ton of lights and everything, and he understands what you're going for, and he just does it. And he's been in a million restaurants all over San Diego, and he's a super nice guy. Just got married, and I like working with people that I like. Well,
For sure. Me
Again,
too.
same thing with jiu-jitsu,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You could roll with
why
anyone,
you're-
but you'd rather roll with people that are cool.
oh,
Right. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
why you're here, for sure. Does he use an iPhone and just like run around the place and then like zoom in on stuff? Those videos look amazing. I don't know how they do it
I'm
so well.
a big fan of subject matter expertise. So
Okay.
like I've been making knives for 20 years, and people ask me like, oh, do you do your own like leather sheaths? And I go, absolutely not. I go to Redbeard Original because my buddy AJ has been doing leather for 20 years. So I'm going to go to Tandy's, spend $200 and just try to wing it. Like,
Yeah.
that's stupid.
No,
I'm going to go to the
it's
guy
respect.
who just does leather. So when it comes to the videographer, I don't know what I don't know. So I'm happy to let him go in with his equipment, tell me where to go, and then I end up with a great video.
Do you want to share like some of the cool? I know you've had knives for restaurants all over town. Do you have like some highlights of ones that chefs are using in like some very cool locations? Maybe some of your favorite restaurants too.
So just in San Diego, Davin and Lauren Waite are at the Wrench and Rodent. Davin's got a bunch of my sushi knives. I'm probably the only U.S. knife maker that I know of that's making sushi knives regularly.
Kidding. Wow.
Regularly.
Yeah.
I'll see somebody make like one or two, but I've got like over 20 just in San Diego.
And what makes a sushi knife? Is it the bendable? Is it like they have to be?
So sushi
long?
knives, the single beveled ones are not really single bevel. There's a hollow grind on the back, which is called an ura, and then there's a flat grind on the other side. And so it's asymmetrical, but I wouldn't necessarily call it single bevel. But for ease
I don't
of
even know what that means.
semantic
anyway, so
accuracy,
lost.
yeah,
you can use whatever word you want.
it's a very specific kind of grind, and it's really difficult to do. And so I will see a lot of chef knife makers do a couple and be like, I got it, and then they go back to doing all the easy stuff, and that's fine. Like, I'm not saying you should or shouldn't make anything you don't want to do. I just have a lot of knives that are regularly being used.
awesome.
So because I've been doing it for so long, I've been able to dial in things like, well, what radius wheel should I use on the Ura given how it's affected over years in a kitchen, and what, how does their sharpening influence how well it's continuing to be used over years, what steel to use, what heat treat to use, all those types of things.
Wow.
So I have a lot of sushi knives in San Diego, and David and Lauren Waite have some of mine, and they have my favorite sushi restaurant in San Diego.
Oh, really?
They're doing very unconventional things.
I've been there.
Oh,
He sent
cool.
me there. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's
Is
an
it?
ocean tide.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, it's really good.
Cool.
I still think that what you need is going back to the original point is you need a montage of you like sharpening a blade, right? Like kneeling on the floor, sharpening a blade, like at sunrise maybe, and then and then you like lay it down as you finish, and you kind of bow to it, and you get up, you throw it in a sheath over your back, and then you like walk into the sunset or something like that.
Oh, my God.
And then you go sword fight somebody. You know what I mean?
So
Like.
back to the
What I'm
original.
saying is you need to
off-brand. That is
learn.
off-brand.
You need to learn how to sword fight or knife fight, but knife fighting's far less cool.
Well, here's the thing, though. Because I've worked with a bunch of SEAL Team 6, Delta man killer guys. Really, the knives are the things that actually get used more often in terms of like
As opposed to their swords?
Lethal combat. Yeah. So let's say I learned Kendo or something. Well, it's cool. But in World War II, the Japanese went to the Philippines and didn't have a super fun time because the guys in the Philippines are really good at knife fighting.
Oh, is that a real story? Is that true?
What?
That happened?
I
know they went to the Philippines.
Yeah, they were making big knives out of like truck leaf springs and just beat the piss out of the Japanese down there.
With samurai swords?
Well, because the Japanese have samurai swords and think they're the best at everything. And look, the Japanese are not... The Japanese do a lot of things right, but they're like anybody else. Like assuming everybody in Japan is really great at sword fighting or knives is like assuming that like everybody out of France is a great chef. It's like, well, it's...
Oh, wow.
It's
blowing
not
my mind here then.
It's not correct, And the Japanese, it's funny so I was a history major. And so people hear me talk a lot of shit about people in general, Japanese being one of them because they're they're definitely gatekeepers for the chef knife community.
Are you hold on, because you're kind of just saying that you talk shit on Japanese people, just flat. I feel like, can you get more specific so we don't get flagged on YouTube?
Yeah. So when people say like the Japanese make like the best chef knives in the world, I say like, well, you got to qualify that. They have some great designs for doing very specific things, and other people can utilize those designs to make similar things and even better things. And being Japanese does not inherently make you better than anyone else.
Okay, so let me clarify, because you're not saying that you talk a lot of shit on Japanese people, because that's for sure what it sounded like. You talk a lot of shit on the Japanese knife making industry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's different.
Well,
You hear that, YouTube?
Because you were like, people say I talk a lot of shit specifically on Japanese. Oh, what happened?
I don't know.
That just happened right now?
I just noticed it. The camera fell off, guys, but we can still be on audio.
Keep going.
Yeah.
There'll be no worries.
Yeah, little blip. Ooh, now I'm ready to taste it. Before I was just
Isn't this good?
drinking scotch. I mean, it's amazing. 45%. When I start getting over 40, I'm like, what's going on?
Nick, you want a little more sip, sip, sip? No. And like the screw bottle is like really funny that the Japanese would do it because it's
Instead
like
of a cork?
yeah, because it seems like well, it's high-end whiskey. It should have a cork, but it's like, oh, this makes it really easy.
Oh, you're right. This is for 45. This is crazy smooth.
I don't think 45 is crazy. I think 45 is like my go.
It's a little harsher, so for sure.
My go-to is actually the Ardbeg Ugadale, which is a Scotch and it's very peaty.
Oh,
and I think that's around like 53. And that's like that's my go-to.
so we're 50%, right?
So
it's mostly alcohol.
Oh yeah.
Amazing. Don't
God
judge
intended.
me. Don't judge me. Redbreast is my favorite.
Redbreast is delicious.
Yeah.
The Redbreast has a 12-year Lustau sherry aged casked Irish whiskey that I really like.
Really?
And if I want a sherry casked whiskey that's Irish and not Redbreast, the only alternative I'll go to is Napogue 18, which is also delicious.
You've got quite the collection at home, don't you?
I have a lot of very grateful clients that know that I am a fan of alcohol. So I have a healthy whiskey
present.
collection, I'll say.
Yeah, it's a good present.
I used to have a mobile business, and people would tip me in alcohol. I'm like, you know, I'm driving, right?
Right.
Like, we want a beer before
cocaine, sir. Please, just a little.
Stay awake here. All right, so we do have a segment. Let's bring this back around to some jiu-jitsu. We have a segment called Black Belts React.
Okay, fine.
I'm trying to pull it up here. So we just basically look at some Instagram videos and reels. What I'll do is, since usually Miles and I do this together, since there's three of us, I will send you guys. Well, you already have it, so if you want to pull yours up.
Is this the light up implants?
Do you want me to?
No, I didn't save that one. Yeah, open your Instagram, and I'll send them, and we can all just like play them at the same time.
All right, let's go.
We haven't done this in a while, so for one, there's so many. I just like mentioned this to someone, and Instagram was like, "Oh, you think Tito Ortiz is an idiot?" And my feed is a highlight reel of just him just saying dumb fucking shit.
Nothing wrong with that. That's hilarious.
All right, I'm just gonna start from the top. Hold on, don't listen. All right.
Black belt reacts.
I send this to Brandon.
This is fun. In San Diego, we have so many black belt friends. Isn't that crazy?
Do I need the sound for it?
Yeah, no.
Can we share it?
I'll play the sound and then okay.
What does it take to be?
I'm just gonna watch yours.
Okay. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Are you gonna watch mine?
Yeah.
So we'll start at the same time.
Who is
ready?
it? Who's that?
And go.
A black belt in this specifically, and what does it mean? Like, I mean, it just it depends who gave it to you. It's honestly just a trick. It's like a marketing trick to keep people hooked. You know, it's the reason why people do jiu-jitsu longer than they do kickboxing or boxing classes. It's a hook to keep you invested. It's like a multi-level marketing scheme. You know, it's like they want to get the blue belt. They want to get the purple belt.
And I guess it's a cheap belt to make too. Like it's just like fabric, right?
It's brilliant. And the black belt has a long-established history in all martial arts, so it really is just a marketing strategy to hook people into the sport and make them feel special and validated. But at the end of the day, like, you could be a shitty black belt. You know what I mean? A black belt doesn't prevent or mean anything at the end of the day. You're only as good as...
All right, that's enough.
Oh, I love that video. Because I totally disagree.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, for
React.
sure. Yeah, I mean, there's a hierarchy in our training in the mats. And what a wonderful thing that it shows is a little bit about your beliefs. So when people get a black belt, oftentimes they're like, I don't even know if I deserve this and
Yeah.
that. A lot of people say that.
For sure.
But, and then when you're going against a black belt, you can see, if you're a lower belt, you can see people like, they have opportunities that they miss because they don't think that they could do that against you. And so it's like this wonderful example of humanity in the hierarchy and what you believe and what you can do. And it's right there in front of you.
Well, I think what he's saying is that you would have that hierarchy and you'd still have the ability to do all those things just without the belt on. And
I mean, what he said is the belt, the belt represents on its own, right? You could be a shitty black belt. Yeah. No, you can't be a shitty black belt if you're going to the open mat every day and you're getting your lunch taken. So what I mean is like a black belt that is constantly still on the mats. Mm-hmm. Do you see what I mean? Like you're not going to be a shitty black belt, and you're not going to keep going.
you
to
could be a
open
shitty
mats.
black belt if you get one before you deserved it. I can think of a specific place.
Say his name.
No. And I have rolled with a handful of their black belts, and some of them are good, and some of them I'm like, you could be a purple belt.
But
maybe.
I think we have to, if we're going to delve into semantic accuracy right now, I think we need to figure out what does it mean to be a good black belt.
Oh, good question.
Because like my wife has been training a couple years less than me.
She a good black belt?
She's still a brown belt. Oh. Now, one of the reasons she's still a brown belt is because we had 2 kids over the last 3 years. So now that she's going back, like she's getting smashed by people who are not as technically proficient as her, but they also didn't have their abdomen sliced in half.
That's true.
So is your
Hate when that
proficiency on the mats what makes a good black belt? Because there's white belts that show up that were just like really great wrestlers or just happen to be physically domineering.
I see where you're going.
So that doesn't necessarily denote, in my ability, a good black belt. So if we're going to say like what makes a good black belt is your ability to teach,
right?
I think that's actually a better description of what a good black belt is.
That's a good point.
Because you could, Danaher's not going to win any competitions because he's kind of broken. Nobody would question his black belt.
Right.
No, but people say that like in training when he was physically capable, that he was very good. Like that he would fuck you up in the training room. He just wasn't interested in competing.
But what's to say someone was never physically capable, but does have the ability to teach?
I think this is what we talked about with Chris Burns when you weren't here. Is that there's a bit of a sliding scale for how you deserve it's more like what your black belt is, like what you are maximally capable of. You know what I mean? Like there's
according to your body size type, who you are. Right.
It's relative to you.
Yeah.
But and then that's such a subjective thing, I think, too.
It's super subjective.
Miles, how much do you weigh right now?
2 bills.
Okay. So I feel like oftentimes we talk about the smaller weight guys and like little guy jiu-jitsu as being this like superior type of jiu-jitsu. And I think that the big guys don't get any credit because I think that something that you and I encounter is we're in what I would call the open weight category. Sure. So I've rolled with guys who were over 375 pounds.
Lord
and
mercy.
if I said, oh, well, the guy was, a lot heavier than me, no one gives a shit. Like everybody's like, well, dude, you're like 215. It's basically the same weight. I'm like, no, dude. Like if I have a 160 pound black belt and he goes against somebody who's 195, you guys will give him all the credit in the world if he does moderately okay. But if I have a problem with the guy who outweighed me by almost 200 pounds, you guys are like, whatever. Stop complaining, Brandon.
It's all super heavyweight.
So as soon as they're outside the UFC 265 limits.
Now there's pros and cons to that though too. Because while it's true that the little guys get really technically proficient, I will also say something that the big guys get is a no excuses jiu-jitsu. So you and I have never been trying to do a scissor sweep on a big guy and had any kind of professor be like, well, he's a little bigger, so it might not work. We were always told, make it work or you're doing it wrong, and there are no excuses. So we've always just been like, I guess we'll just troubleshoot until I get it right, because there is no way that we're going to get out of a technique. Where I've rolled with black belts who are like 150 pounds that refuse to drill the technique because they're like, well, I won't get it on you. I'm like, you guys,
man.
you've just given up.
Wow.
Because you weigh less.
Scissor sweep doesn't work though. Just
Not much. Not against heavy. Not against heavyweights.
I understand your example though.
Scissor sweeps work well in the right timing against the smaller guys, and it's timing when their weight is moving forward and stuff. But if you have a heavyweight that's like, you got Omar sitting in this. I've been in this exact situation. Omar's sitting in my closed guard, just sitting like with his butt on his heels and not like leaning anywhere. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna fucking scissor sweep you.
No, it works against girls.
It's just like a foot sweep though. A foot sweep's not going to work until you get the right timing. Yeah. And I'll use a scissor sweep with a triangle setup.
That's a good comparison.
And so that's the thing you got to figure out. Like, well, how do I tie together a scissor sweep with a triangle with an omoplata variation? And the guy that I went with that I started getting pretty good at he's another black belt, but he's an older guy that looks bigger than me. He's probably 245. And I was like, I'll get this guy in a scramble, no problem.
Yeah.
Little did I know, the guy spent the first 30 years of his life playing rugby in South Africa.
Oh, rugby translates well. Rugby translates well in jiu-jitsu. Wrestling, rugby. Those are the two things I think that translate the best over jiu-jitsu.
Now, when I try to triangle him and I have a hard time of it, do you think any of the professors are like, well, Brandon, he does way more than you? Nobody gives a shit. I have to do it right, so I got to time it. So I got to go for the omoplata first so he leans into me so then I can shoot the triangle and get him really deep in there. You just got to like make it work. There's no excuses in our weight classes, I would say.
Wow, that's a great insight.
My instructor is real small. He's probably like 155 pounds maybe. So I have that same thing when I was at his school. I'm still underneath him. I don't train with him as much. But to him, I'm 185. I'm fucking huge. So like I'm in that same category. It's like, oh, go with Big Joe over there. I'm like, fuck, John. I know I'm bigger than you, but I'm not a fucking heavyweight. There's just like, underneath middleweights and those weight classes, then there's just everyone else.
Totally.
Well, and I've noticed this is like an interesting thing to navigate, being as my spouse does train and she trains seriously. There have been times when I'll tell her like, well, you should be doing this in order to pass my guard. And she's like, look at your legs though. They're so big. I'm like, okay, but that is the right answer though. Like I know you don't want to, and I know it's hard, but that is still the right answer. And navigating that has definitely been, for those of you who don't have a spouse in jiu-jitsu, say it's always fun all the time.
My wife is a powerful, powerful one-stripe white belt.
Yeah, she is. She wrecked my wife. on the retreat.
Did she?
Yeah. We never told you either. Oh yeah, no. Gina had some rib injuries.
Oh, she's aggressive. My wife is.
She is.
And I don't want to disparage that because honestly, there are way more pros than cons. Because like if I come home and I'm like, I did this great knee slice pass to reversing to a knee bar and sitting in. Oh, this was great. I can go home and tell my wife. She'll be like, show me. And I'm like, cool. You know what I'm talking about.
That is cool. Yeah,
Whereas like most people, like they just got to bottle that up.
That's right. My wife
I'll just
recovered, by the
hide
way,
my
too.
joy.
She recovered. She recovered well.
I'm glad.
Yeah. But wait, so has your wife been to our Black Belt Country Club rolls at some point? I can't remember.
She has not.
Oh,
So
okay,
she's only been training again for a couple of months.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
our second child was
A couple of months.
all
You just had a
natural.
kid 1
and
month ago.
It was no. So our youngest is about 13, 14 months.
Oh,
now.
Adam just had a kid.
Adam
That's
just
right.
had a kid.
That's right. That's right.
But my wife was like getting back, and then she got pregnant again. And then this last one, I was hoping it'd be a quick rebound. But man, it was like if anything could go wrong, it went wrong, and it was really rough for her. So she's back now, but she's definitely like once a week,
Taking the time.
kind of.
Yeah.
Good, man. Stay on the mats. That's my goal for people in general. Man, if we can just, it's like do a little competition just so you experience it and then stay on the mats.
But I do want to
for your
say
whole
real
life.
quick, because of the reaction to the video, I will say that now that I've been a black belt for as long as I have, and I'm sure you guys get this too, and I'm sure that's what's going through Craig Jones's mind. Once you have it, you don't think about it anymore. And you kind of forget that at one point in time it was important to you. And for my wife, she still feels that, well, I want to be the black belt. I want to get to that location. And I don't want to tell her that it's really great for a moment, and then you realize the princess is in the other castle, and you're like,
Wow.
oh, well, this just kind of, well, I still just train every day, and it's like,
I feel like I won the game when I bow and kiss my black belt every morning. I don't know what you're talking about.
well, because you'll still go in sometimes and get wrecked by like the local blue belt that just happened to be a college wrestling phenom or something, and you go, well, what is this even for?
No, I don't.
I know Miles.
But what a wonderful key to the kingdom a black belt is, especially now with this new evolution of jiu-jitsu, is you can go anywhere other than Gracie Baja, but you can go anywhere and like you can visit schools and have a great time, and they welcome you with open arms other than Gracie Baja. And it's pretty amazing. People ask me what school do I train at, and eventually I get to Prism. But I'm like, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of schools.
Right.
Like 12 schools in the area.
But this is where I'll kind of give Gracie Baja a nod.
Okay.
Because one of the
Hit
things
us.
that they do is they have a rotating curriculum, which sounds not hyper creative.
Okay.
But what their ideology is if you've been a white belt, you've seen spider guard, close guard, open guard, half guard, mount, back mount. You've seen all of these positions at least a couple times by the time you get your like fourth stripe on your white belt and move on to blue.
Okay.
And the idea is consistency. And I do know that there are professors out there that are like, oh, well, you know what's been going really great out in competitions right now is this thing.
Yeah,
and they'll
something
very
new.
like, it's all very ad hoc,
Right.
which is cool.
It is.
But then I'll go there and I'll get, like their best guy on like a flower sweep. I'm like,
buddy, you're missing. You got some holes in your game.
Because I do both of those things. So there's like, it doesn't need to be one or the other. So I have a rotating curriculum that I always stick to, and we rotate through it, and then something comes up, and I go, hey guys, like I feel like doing this, and it's not like, I mean, I plan it, I think about it beforehand, but I'm like, because it does two things. Once you tell someone a move, if you show them, they need to see it a few times, and they need to move on, and then they need to come back to it, and they need to go, oh yeah, I remember that, and then it'll start to stick. And if it doesn't after that, teaching them more is not going to make it stick. Yeah. The like telling them again and again, because the moves that stick are the moves that you like, and they're the moves that give you some sort of tingly feeling, like, ooh, I like that. You know what I mean?
I like tingling.
And and sometimes white belts need to fucking try barambolos because it's fun and it keeps them like they don't need to master the barambolo.
Lord of mercy.
They they don't need to master it, or I'm not even necessarily teaching it for them to use it. Like I'm showing
They
them
need to know what the word means and what people are going to do
brain
against.
like exercising and to challenge them and to like have fun. Just like today I showed like the I had a room full of white belts and one blue belt, and I taught them like a real basic path to the mount, two different ones, like one path to the mount, one path to the back, like real basic ones. And then we did the gator roll just because I was like, fuck it. You know what I mean?
It's fun.
And everybody, it gets everybody laughing and smiling.
Totally.
And dude, I'm telling you that I have many students who can't fucking do a move that I've shown them 800 times just because they don't. They're just not. Move does not interest them, you know.
Yeah, totally.
And then I'll show them a move that I'm like, this one's hard, and that particular student is fucking hitting it live on everyone.
Wow.
Like they're just doing it in live situation because they like it, and that move just sticks for them.
Speaking
You know
of,
what I mean?
you had the Jiu-Jitsu World League was this weekend.
Yeah.
300 something schools showed up, and Escondido, Prism Jiu-Jitsu. How'd you do?
We got third. Yeah.
Third place school. Yeah, we got a bunch of guys that got first when they used to have like tough competitions.
Yeah.
And it's super cool, brother.
Thank you.
Good work.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
But what I'm saying is that you can do both of those things.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you should have a basic curriculum that's for your beginner's class, and then your advanced class can be like, hey, this is we're working on the new shit, whatever the new hotness is, and we're fucking around with this and that. You know what I mean? And then even in that basics class, it's like, hey, let's go out on the limb today and let's challenge you and experiment. You know what I mean? I started being the second version, where it's just like I feel like teaching this, and then pretty quickly, like within like
that runs
a
out.
couple
right?
of months, I was like, okay, this isn't the way to go.
Right.
And then I made like a foundational curriculum, and every time, but that's the thing is like when there's like you are teaching this move. These 3 moves this day. There's no like I can look around the room and be like, these people can handle this, or like I can look around the room and be like, I'm gonna change this today because I've actually been like experimenting with this, and I think I found a better way. And like I don't think it can be like so fucking
rigid.
cookie
like,
cutter.
Something that like still excites me is really basic stuff.
That's because you're a black belt, though.
But what I mean
that's the path that everyone takes. It's like basics, and then purple belt is the peak of your fucking craziness. And by the time you're a black belt, you're really interested in the most
nuances.
Yeah. But, me too. I'm really excited by like basic, heavy shit.
Because like today I was rolling with Miles, and the one thing that I learned recently, I want to say in the last 3 months, is I watched this video of Jeff Glover with somebody in closed guard, and he
You mean reverse donkey guard?
Reverse donkey guard. We'll call it. So he's pulling people in, and he's trying to grab underhooks.
Yeah.
And what he does is instead of trying to like fight for the underhooks, he just kind of puts his hands down and pulls them in, and then whatever way people post, your arm's already in a position to get the underhooks.
Oh, he's
I'm like
tricky.
That's amazing.
It's like the most
That's the
simple
coolest
thing.
thing.
Really.
Yeah.
And how fun was it in my closed guard today?
How fun was it? I mean, it was zero fun, but no. And I really, if a can opener was legal, I would have been can opener the monkey shit out of you. But it's not. And so I thought about like a single arm can opener. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I need to do that. But the underhooks was effective, and you really exposed my back. And especially one time you exposed my back to where you mounted me. Yeah, and that was a challenge.
But and it's so funny to me that like the entry into it was instead of trying to fight for it, just put your arms down.
Is that what you were doing?
Yeah,
You son of a biscuit.
I just put my arms down and pulling you in with my legs.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so we're going full, like simple.
Yeah.
You know, and that's
I think that's the coolest stuff to me, but it's not the coolest stuff to.
But
to
I would
mid-belts.
say what's nice is even if you are doing a recurring system, we'll say a systematic approach to teaching.
Yeah.
When you get the guys who are like bored in class,
Yeah.
as long as you maintain, I think, a culture of
Oh my God, you're saying I can't wait to talk more
willingness to respond to questions.
Yeah.
Then I think it's no problem because you're going to get the above purple belts who can be like, well, I know you're teaching this thing, but every time I do this always happens. You can go, all right, cool. While I was doing this, okay, so grab this and do this thing. And they go, oh, cool. I learned a new technique off of this basic thing, but nobody's not learning that Darce chokes exists. You know, that's what I want. Is I want the basic
full
stuff.
disclosure, Darce chokes are in my basics curriculum.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Darce
I remember seeing, and I won't say names, but I remember seeing a very high level black belt getting mad at a white belt, and he goes, "You're still getting caught in this triangle choke? How long have we been teaching this?" I'm like, "Well, dude, him for like 6 weeks."
Yeah.
Right.
I know you've seen this for the last 20 years, but he hasn't. You know, and I think we're all vulnerable to that way of thinking because we've just seen it for so long, and I think that flies in the face of Craig Jones saying like, well, black belt doesn't really mean anything. Like, well, it does, but we have to figure out how to use what a black belt really is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if you have a black belt from a legit school, it for sure means something, because if you have it from a good school, which we're still at a point in jiu-jitsu where the vast majority of schools give reputable belts. You know what I mean? It's the schools that give belts that don't mean much. Those are actually hard to find. Like, we're still in the stages of jiu-jitsu where, and hopefully it doesn't go another way. Hopefully it stays that way. But
the best curriculum, the most thorough curriculum is Grace University and the certified training centers. That is like lockdown. It's all there. The cards are there. The steps are there. The weeks are there. Mm-hmm. And that's really interesting. I've changed my mind. I've changed my position.
How long
on
is
that.
their curriculum?
Are you ready for this? So you don't get to roll for 8 months.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah. So you'd have
hate.
Hate. No, that's okay.
They're awesome. And, they're cool. No, I really like. They're the thing that what they are trying to achieve. They're doing that thing the right way.
Yes, and I mean, I have a hot take on it,
because they're not trying to create like MMA fighters or competition jiu-jitsu athletes.
Well, everybody's trying to do a different thing at jiu-jitsu, right?
That's right.
Because you get the guys who are like, well, you get people like my wife. You know, is she going to go and compete? No. I was just going over a knee bar, and my buddy was telling me, man, you could do this really great in competition. You could just really grip it and rip it. I said, man, you know how pissed I'd be if I was in a competition and somebody gripped and ripped a knee bar? I got to go to work on Monday.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, that's why. He goes, that's why I don't compete. And that's the thing. A lot of people don't realize some of the
especially
best guys
Masters.
you'll ever fight
will
never go to compete.
In Masters?
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, I've had other black belts like really go for hard submissions in the adults division, because those are like
adults,
guys that are trying to be world champions,
right?
You know?
Right.
And I don't blame them. But like in the Masters division, I'm like, come on, dude, nobody gives it. Actually, I mean, it's never happened. But if it did happen in Masters division, I'd be like, what the fuck? We both got shit to do tomorrow. You probably have kids too. Like, you know.
Well, and I think a lot of people under the impression, like, well, everybody has an office job. Like, I literally use my hands every day at work. If you wrist lock the shit out of me, I'm gonna be real bummed.
Yeah.
Because you're taking, like, because I don't look at it as like, man, you really hurt me. I'm like, so you don't want me to feed my kids?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jesus.
Like, that's a different bar.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, this is a thing I do because it's fun, keeps me in shape, it's mentally engaging.
Yeah.
I meet a lot of great people, and dude, I cannot lower the value of what it means mentally to be on the mats.
Oh my God, for sure.
Well, you know, one of my business partner, one of my best buddies, I got him into jiu-jitsu after he lost his daughter. She was 3 years old.
Oh my God.
And I've told people, I'm like, you know, when I've lost friends and family and those types of things, I'm at the jiu-jitsu school like day before the funeral, because I need to be somewhere where I can escape my body.
Yeah.
And when you're in those situations, you need training partners you can trust.
Yeah.
That are, you know, when I roll with the black belt friends that I know.
Yeah.
You know, one of my favorite training partners, Dave over at Carlsbad.
Oh, respected Dave, friend of the podcast.
Yeah, he's a little bit older. He's in his 50s, I think. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's a black belt, hyper technical. And if I get like a really good arm bar on him, once I like have separated the hands, we're already done. Like, what do I need to extend the arm for?
Oh, no.
We know what we're doing.
Exactly.
And my hope is that he's going to come back tomorrow, and his hope is that I'm going to come back tomorrow. And the worst thing you could probably do, and you guys have probably seen it in as many years as you guys have been in, but the worst thing you can see is somebody who hangs it up. And I don't mean like a white belt who doesn't come back. I mean black belts who are like, it's not worth it for me to keep getting injured. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And the young guys just won't respect that I am not 20 anymore. That's actually devastating to me.
I haven't experienced that.
I've experienced that a few times, and it's rough because, like, I could think one of my buddies was maybe 5 years older than me, and he had a heart attack. And the guy's got a beautiful wife, a couple beautiful kids, got lots of money, and you never know what somebody's limit is. Mm-hmm. And this guy had a heart attack, and he would come back and he'd be on the mats with a heart monitor, and then one day he just didn't come back. And
he's like, why the fuck am I doing this?
There's a couple things there. I mean, one is, do I want to be the guy that rolls with him and he's going so hard with me that I'm the one that kills him.
Oh my God! What a feather in your cap! Like Jesus, I just take him out.
See Brandon over there? He makes knives and he's killed 2 men.
Those stripes on his black belt.
Doesn't matter.
Those are lives that he's taken.
I think you get a stripe if you murder somebody on the mat. I mean, please, Jesus.
I mean,
That's outside the regular IBJJ schedule of stripes.
I'm a jiu-jitsu evangelist, man. I want everybody training. So it's not. It's like for me, I want people coming back.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Okay.
No, that means a lot, though. That's, I mean, the brotherhood of being in jiu-jitsu, and we talk about this all the time, but it's like there are multiple men's groups that don't have jiu-jitsu, and they're doing wacky stuff, and they're climbing underneath barbed wire, and they're doing these wacky stuff.
Definitely.
And jiu-jitsu kind of handles it all. It kind of does it all. Jiu-jitsu is like the full, almost minus like a couple of things, is like the full human experience in an open mat. And that's the magic of it.
Well, it's forced meditation, right? It's like, don't think about the world as it is. Like, well, if I got some dude trying to choke the life out of me, I won't be.
I heard this sweaty man chest on my face. I wouldn't be thinking about my bills.
That's right. Should take care of your bills, but
if Miles is doing his sit-up guard on me, I won't be thinking about anything else.
Yeah, that's right. Hold on. I didn't finish the... let me give a little shout out to the Grace University and the Certified Training Centers, because it really changed my mind, because the community that they build, that's the point. So it's not it's going to take you 8 months before you can roll. It's not that. Of course you can do that. You can go roll the first day, right? We've all done that. First day we did jiu-jitsu, we rolled the first day. But the point is, we have built this amazing community of men, women, older women, like kids, like this amazing community. And how dare you think that you're going to come in here and disrupt this community? That's what it's about. And so you have to sit and you have to get yourself into the community. We have to appreciate you. Oh, you're doing your moves? You're doing them a little hard. You're doing this? You're not showing up. Like, you have to become a part of the community before they will even trust you into the actual live rolling scenario. And so that's what changed my mind.
There is an interesting concept, though. I think one of the things that Nelson always taught was this idea for the higher belts. When you get the crazy white belt that comes in, who doesn't know any real techniques, who's just going to shoulder into you and just cross face.
Oh, shout out to Josh, friend of the podcast. I got it today from the UK. Respect, sir. You were on bottom. You hurt me from the bottom, for God's sake. I'm going to get you next time, though, dog.
we had this guy named Q over at Encinitas for a while. And I don't even know if he still trains anymore. But the guy was like 245, 8% body fat, like 5'10".
Oh,
like
Lord of mercy.
Yeah,
what?
He was an interesting specimen. And I remember throwing him in a triangle choke, and he backed out as hard as he could the wrong way and broke his own tooth. And
right.
You encounter these guys, and there's a lot of strength, and there's a lot of, I'll say, creative positioning. And I think Nelson was always of the opinion that if you are a high-level black belt, even if you can't tap them out, the idea should be that you should be able to finish the round safely. And I think that when you have a barrier to entry, sometimes that can prohibit even high-level guys from encountering the spontaneous. And
because when you're using your jiu-jitsu, and I'm more like playing devil's advocate. I see what you're saying, and I can kind of agree with that.
Let's go.
But if you are going to use your jiu-jitsu in a real life scenario, it's going to be against a big white belt.
Yeah.
Like,
that's mostly.
It's not going to be against someone that's like trying to pass your guard from headquarters. You know what I mean? Like,
there should be a big how to deal with big white belts class.
Well, just
protect your ears.
So case in point, a real life example, right? So I'm in a guard rotation. I'm at Gracie Baja Escondido, and there's this guy who's like 275.
How dare you?
Is a big monster. What?
You drove past my gym and you went to Gracie Baja Escondido?
Well, I'll say this is before I was excommunicated from Gracie Baja Escondido.
Are you out now?
That's a story for a different time.
Okay, all right.
I want that story.
I know. What time is it?
So I was rolling this guy's like 275. and we're doing a guard rotation. He's inside, and he starts driving his elbow into the inside of my thighs. Now, for those of us who are black belts, we know that we haven't felt anything on the inside of our thighs for 10 years. But he...
I mean, there's one. Let's not say anything.
Look at that thing.
But
He was pointing at my scar, not my dick.
look, this is a judgment-free zone.
Thank you.
So this guy starts driving his knee or his elbow into my thigh, and I say to him, I said, if you do this, you're going to get triangled. And he goes, actually, I won't. Now, this is the moment.
What rank was this guy?
He's a white belt.
Okay.
Now, okay, so as a black belt, I can say like, well, you're doing it wrong, or you really will get triangled, but nothing is going to be as effective as if I triangle him.
Okay.
The burned hand heeds fire the best.
Right.
So I triangled the shit out of this guy.
Did you?
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. If you never put yourself in a position where you capitalize on a mistake,
Yeah.
then you can't really speak to the mistake that well, right? But I mean,
Okay.
do you ever want to be in a role with somebody and be like, actually, this is the wrong way to do this? No, you want to capitalize on it and then explain. "Hey,
Explain
the
it to
reason
them
why we
afterwards."
don't do it that way is because I will do what you
Right.
just did.
Yeah,
Only if they're
totally.
beating me, I would do that. yeah.
There was a guy who was
Let
wrong
me tell
with,
you something.
there was a guy who was wrong with today.
Fire Marshal Bill?
You never heard that before?
Yes, is that
Wait, let me tell you something. You never heard that?
No.
Oh, it's like a video of a guy that's like about to get pushed off of a bungee jumping thing. And he's like, wait, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
And then people always post it as like when a higher rank is about to get tapped by a lower rank.
right.
Wait, let me tell you something. And they're like, you should actually, like right before you're about to be, I've had people do that to me, like right before you're about to get choked.
Oh,
Like, try this
Totally.
now.
This would be better.
I
I'm fine.
won't give direction until the end. Like there was a guy
After.
who I don't know how long he's been training, but there was a guy who went for 2 single legs on me, and both single legs. Once he grabbed him up, his elbow was flared out, so I went for a figure 4 on his arm, sat
Nice.
back, flew him over my head, and then I sat up and got the arm bar on him. Now, I'm not going to tell him between rolls, like, hey, so you want to make sure that your elbow's tucked in? I'm going to do that a couple times and let him know, like, hey, man, my single legs just didn't work today. And then I can say, hey, the reason your single leg wasn't working is because you weren't keeping your elbows tight. Keep your friends close and your elbows tighter. Like, you need to make sure that...
Establish
I like
your
that saying.
credibility.
That's a good saying.
Because if I don't show
your
him,
enemies, though?
there's a lot less...
Your enemies are supposed to be
actually your friends close, enemies closer, and then elbows
the
closest.
tightest. Your elbows are the...
Keep your friends close and your elbows closer. That would be the correct way to say that.
All right.
But if I don't capitalize on the mistake, then his belief in me just telling him is going to be less than if I
100%.
do it a couple times.
No,
and
you have
man,
to do it. He has to beg for the answer. Like, why is this?
He has to pay you $5.
Well, I've been to those gyms where I've like rolled with another black belt and been like, hey, what was that thing you were doing? I was like, well, private lessons are excellent.
I'm like, do you have Venmo?
Dude,
bro,
Do you have Venmo?
Talking about GB Escondido.
my brother in Christ. Let's just agree.
There's a guy that he's a really cool guy. He's been training with us for a long time now, and helps me teach. Is one of my highest ranks. So I'm not saying anything bad about him. It's just the culture of gym that he came from, and eventually now he's like definitely like part of the team. But when he first came, he was tapped a few people, myself included, with a baseball bat choke from under side mount, which apparently that's their like claim to fame there, Escondido, because that's what Majid does.
Is
and
it?
stuff. Yeah.
Because he did that to Clark Grace?
It's Little Majid. So
Yeah.
Big Majid is his father.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Little Majid is called Gorilla Hands.
Yeah.
And his thing was baseball bat choke. And you might roll with him for the first time and like baseball bat choke is his go-to, and then you get baseball bat choke.
Right, yeah.
Wow, you can't stop it. That's awesome. Like Clark Gracie got
he's
the
very
Uber
good at.
Plotch.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
why like
Right.
the
It's
way
awesome.
people ended up beating him was like staying kind of away.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
can. That's
don't put your head down there.
That's an easy one to avoid, Majid. Just saying. I'm sorry, but
a little
Well,
shit
hold
on
on,
the
let me
throat.
explain what I was. Let me explain what the reason I brought
please.
that up, because he said he caught me with it, and then he caught a few other people, and then he like
tapped?
was like, "Hey, I'll show you how to." Yeah, I mean, it was the first time we rolled, so we were kind of like just chilling, like getting to know each other. He was a brown belt already, and I wasn't gonna.
Majid,
No, not Majid.
his
This-
dad.
One of his students.
There's a brown belt that came from their school.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and he switched to my school.
Gotcha.
And then
there's a gi match.
yeah, and he was like, "Oh, here's how you escape, but don't show any of these guys. I'm like, you mean my students? You know what I mean? And then like I was talking to another one of a blue belt that trains with me, used to train with me, named Jay, and then he was like, oh yeah, he tapped me in that. And then I asked him, I was like, oh, how do you escape that? And he's like, I'm not telling you. I was like, what?
I mean,
It was very much their thing. I remember one time I rolled with one of their black belts.
Yeah.
And the guy has me in closed guard, and he like makes both of his grips, and then he just lets
Right.
his feet go.
no
And
way.
he's just like.
And did you just like pass to the other side?
And I'm just like looking at. Well, I was so.
No, you put a knee inside, right? The grip?
I guess I was so caught off guard by the blatant like disrespect
Yeah.
for my ability to
Right.
guard. I'm
Respect.
like, this
That's
is how
respect.
you're setting it up.
Yeah.
You just make the grips and then just let your legs fall to the side and go like, gosh, I hope he doesn't pass. Like this is embarrassing.
the gayest move ever. Let's just say that right now.
But I will say
Not
this.
a friend of the podcast, Majid.
no, Majid is really cool.
Majid,
No. He didn't mean that.
Sorry, guys.
Majid is super cool.
I know.
I don't know
haven't
Big
met him.
Majid, but the younger one, I rode with him several
you?
times, and,
Did you?
and I've talked to him at tournaments.
Oh,
and he's really
I'm-
friendly. He's a chill guy.
I'm
Little
I'm
Majid-
jealous.
little
I've just
Majid
never
is-
met
is-
him,
is
and
way
I,
cool.
I want to roll with
I
him.
will say that I met
Sorry,
my wife
no disrespect,
there
sir.
at Gracie Baja Escondido. And,
Oh, really?
And she is the first woman I think to have ever tapped me out like legitimately. I wasn't just sitting
Your
there
wife?
going, yeah. I'd never rolled with her before, and I wasn't just throwing in faces from like hell or anything against her, but I'm rolling, and then she got that baseball bat choke. And by the time I tapped, my ears were ringing. And I've seen it before. It's not like it was a new technique for me or anything.
Right, right.
And we used to call it a suicide choke because the reason being that in giving up
Give you back.
the position, it's either going to work or you're in an awful position. So it
Right,
used to
right.
be the suicide choke, but it's called the baseball bat choke now.
I stayed silent so that we could clip that. It's a wonderful clip that you can send her. Because I don't believe any of that.
All right, hold on. Can we watch this highlight reel of Tito Ortiz being an idiot?
Oh, yes, please. It's like my second favorite thing.
This is mostly
world.
here. Actually, I think I could probably just do it like
Just
this.
do it. Just do it
That'd
like
be
that.
easier.
Come on. It's not that. Yeah. We don't have to full-size Tito.
Turn the volume.
Full-size Tito's okay.
Side, Steve.
Guys records who have losing records but still fight for championships. You know, guys who are 5-4, 5-2, 5-1.
Those are winning records, Tito.
You see a lot of guys' records who have
This is a highlight reel. We're gonna go through these real quick.
Cheeto or cheese. So we're watching old prides.
Wait, hold on. Let me get through all these.
And-
They're
okay.
like there's like 4.
Hold on, but he has to know this first.
Okay.
That in the old prides, Henzo Gracie was talking about Tito Ortiz. It's the greatest moment ever. And he goes, oh, that Cheeto or cheese is very good. So in my head, I can only call him Cheeto or cheese.
Okay, you ready? Tito Ortiz names his top 5 bands of all time.
Oh my God.
5 bands of all time. Korn, Eminem, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and Limp Bizkit.
Dang.
Okay, I don't get that one.
All right. What you sent? What are you
I
sending me?
shared it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't get that. Oh, I guess because they're not bands.
The most unsurprising top 5 of all time.
Yeah, they're not like bands.
I think because they're not bands, they're
single artists.
Yeah, I don't know.
Fucking Cheeto or cheese.
All right, next one.
Not a friend of the podcast.
January 21st, Chael Sonnen is going to get smashed. That's the way I feel inside the cage. Kicking ass and taking names. And Chael Sonnen, you're next. I'm going to dominate. I expect no least than what I expect in my camp, what I've been doing in my camp. I want to tell me what you see. Let's go ahead and see by the fight what you saw in the ring.
Now, is it true you're coming back in the fall, though? That the fight will be in the fall?
Yes, it'll be in April. I start. Hi, Tito Ortiz. Do I solely swear? I do solely for him. And that I would support and defend
Dude.
the Constitution of the United States. Discharge the duties.
Just discharge the Judies.
Ken Shamrock put a little
Council member.
put a little on him.
Like Chris, put your mouth where your words are.
Put your mouth where your words are. All right, this is
Listen.
this is the last one. This is, I
Wait a
think, maybe the
minute.
best
No,
one.
this is a commercial for traumatic brain injury.
Yeah, sure.
As you guys get older, is it harder to get your bodies into the shape that's
Oh my
required
God.
to go at each? And that was me. I mean, I've only been off for a year and a half. I'm only 43 years old. I'm an old mature. I mean, I'm matured old. Very fast, but at the same time, my body hasn't matured great, just because of my father's really old. My father's 80 years old. My grandmother's he's in great shape.
Oh my God, he's like Joe Biden.
There actually
of
was
the MMA.
There actually was like way more than that, but I was like, I'm not gonna keep sending these. There was way more.
So
You better get that off that feed. Listen, Instagram, get that
Let's
off.
see what
of
you
his-
saw in the ring. Talk us through what you see in the fight.
Well, my father's old. What?
You know, we've, with most sports, you can look at like the first Super Bowl and you can see the quarterback smoking on the breaks, right? But this is like, what is this, early 1900s? And then
But in terms of like CTE, like a lot of those, he was young. Like there, and a bunch more was like the
what I'm
beginning
saying
of his career.
is in the beginning of the NFL, the guys who were in there were not professional athletes who have been groomed to be professional athletes their whole life with a level of professionalism. They're guys who were like, yeah, this is fun to throw a
You're
ball
right.
around.
This is early. This is just
MMA.
He's just a dude.
You know, he's a guy who liked to punch things. He's a Kyle who drank monsters and punched holes in drywall. And they were like, let's put him on TV. And it's a little rough for me, correct? Because the kind of person who would have fought at that time for that kind of pay
Was a dumb person.
I'm not even going to say that.
Oh
I'm going to say is a different caliber.
No, that's awesome though. No, that's respect. I appreciate that
Listen,
sentiment.
I didn't want to be thoughtful. I just wanted to laugh at Tito for
No,
being dumb
no,
because it
we're
makes me
not.
feel better about my own CT.
Listen.
Well, because let's think about it. Even today, if you were to say like, hey, do you want to get paid $5,000 if you win this tournament? But also you probably won't win this tournament and you'll get punched in the head a whole lot. How many friends do you have that sign up for that?
You're asking the wrong guy because I fought for $500. $500 many times.
Now, I'm not even saying no one will sign up. I'm saying out of all your
Nick's
friends,
ready right now. If that's if
You got $500 right now?
No, he said 5,000.
Oh my God.
I'm not saying no one will show up. I'm saying
I'll fight Cheeto or Cheese for
Cheeto or
$5,000.
cheese.
I'm saying get those
It's
people
weak now.
and interview them.
Yeah.
I'm great in interviews. Case in point, look at
Well,
this.
you are. So you're saying right now you'd fight for $5,000?
Yes,
Fuck
of course
yes,
he
I
would.
would.
Jesus,
Yes, I would.
he is in the ring right now. How many fights that night? 8.
Because I'm
Whatever.
not like, look, I mean, it depends on who I'm fighting. I'm going to fight GSP for. Actually, no, GSP would be very
you
nice
would
about it. He'd very
100%
politely-
fight GSP.
I would for sure fight GSP. He would do it so nice. He'd be like, "Look, I'm sorry." I'd be like, "All right."
Just like sorry. Every
'cause
jab.
I'm
I think he
just-
says sorry with every jab.
Because even back then, right, there wasn't the as much as a Craig Jones might criticize the prestige factor of things.
Yeah,
At
there
least-
was no prestige.
At least
You were-
there is prestige now.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
back then, it's like, hey, do you want to fight for no money and also nobody
you-
respects it?
You were a weirdo.
Right.
Yeah. You were better. You had more prestige if you didn't fight.
I mean, Joe Rogan talks about how, like, when he was doing commentary, his other friends were like, "For what? Cage fighting?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Right.
Bro, what? Why?
Yeah.
And now we can see with the benefit of hindsight, well, it would develop into something greater.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess the question would be like, hey, do you want to fight for $500, but also it's in the backyard of my house and we're only going to post the video to YouTube? Maybe. It'd be like,
Okay, I'm not gonna- I wouldn't do
probably not, right?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
would be the equivalent.
$500, but I still would probably. But the thing is, there's a really
It's just
there's a
inside
small
you. It's
chance.
burning. It's burning inside.
But I mean, it depends on who. Like I said, it depends on who I'm fighting. Because the
yeah,
chances
sure.
are I'm gonna.
Kimbo
I don't know how to
Slice.
say this, but like I'm probably gonna win.
Kimbo
like,
Slice.
Like who am I gonna fight?
Would you fight Kimbo Slice in a backyard?
Well, he's dead.
Well,
Not
at
his corpse.
at that
I mean, a live Kimbo
no,
Slice.
I would not fight Kimbo Slice with $500.
Okay. So I guess
how much
No
would
way.
it take?
No way.
So I guess this would be the better question because now we have the benefit of hindsight in terms of jiu-jitsu. But if you were to say right now, like, hey, so there's 4 other black belts that are going to compete in this tournament and it's MMA. Do you want to fight? It's like, 4. They're all black belts.
Listen,
$500.
I gotta. Are they only do jiu-jitsu?
No, they do.
Fuck. 1 second.
Is it slap fighting? Are we doing like combat jiu-jitsu? What are we talking about?
I don't know. It's probably something goofy and horrendous. It's like pool noodles and glass bottles of empty beer. It's got to be something stupid. Because remember, like at that time, it was seen as such a not real thing.
Like car jiu-jitsu? That's pretty fun.
Yeah, yeah.
You got to keep
like,
you got to keep their
it's like
thing attached. Right?
It's like car jiu-jitsu, but more CTE. It's like car jiu-jitsu, but they also have an empty beer bottle in their hand.
Phone booth MMA. Have you seen that one? Oh my God, they lay into each other. That's like old WEC, because you know the amount of knockouts in WEC was like far exceeds the UFC, and it's because the ring was way smaller. Yep, that was the deal. Yep, more knockouts when the ring's smaller.
All right, we might have to wrap it there because that was the battery died. I thought we had plenty of battery, but I could never find a plug to get us plugged in. I tried.
This is a kind of organization we run in here. Should we just bring it home?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Anyways, I would definitely fight
for the audio.
I would definitely fight a random person for $500 if it's a
it's a nice closer.
Yeah, how many kids do you have right now?
2 kids. What does that
Well,
do
that's
with
2
anything?
kids too many to be finding random people for $500.
I'm
Come on,
gonna
Nick.
win, though.
I need you to have higher standards.
If they don't train, there's no chance.
I'm saying they
sip of
trained.
whiskey does to him.
But if you're a black belt, if they were a black belt and they only did jiu-jitsu,
I'm not saying they only did. I'm saying they did jiu-jitsu and they also had some kind of.
Okay, so you're talking about fighting another professional fighter.
Yeah.
I would not fight another professional fighter for $500.
That's
no.
what I'm saying.
Bob
That's
Sapp.
what Tito is. Tito was like, I have no clue how my training's going to go against another person, and also they're not paying me, and no one respects this.
Okay, that's true.
That's
true.
That's the scenario.
But if you know someone that wants to pay me $5,000 to fight
Bob Sapp.
Bob Sapp, how old is Bob Sapp?
Look,
now?
I don't have that 80cc money.
Oh my God, Craig Jones is changing the game. As far as that black belt comment, though, he can eat my ass with a spoon. But especially after bulletproof coffee. But he is changing the game with the CJI, and I think that we're going to see the barriers come around and
the ramps, right?
I think it expedited the ground game. And I was really happy to see it. I was worried that what was going to happen is you're going to have dynamic players like the Rutolos. And,
you were worried about it?
Nicky Rod. I thought they would be spinning around to the back and get their heel like caught on the ramp. And then, Victor Hugo was going to snatch Nicky Rod up in a second. And then instead, Hugo got taken in like the first round. I'm like, well, there goes all of my anticipation, which I was happy to see. I really love upsets because I always assume whoever I root for is going to lose the first round. So,
oh wow,
sorry, Victor.
All right,
all right. Well, let's wrap it up here because I don't want to have a bunch of good stuff without video.
Yeah,
but we got an hour 15 in.
Awesome.
So
super fun.
We should do this again because we were on a good one there, and we
will.
So
Thanks
let's do it again in the future if you can. And we'll have everything ready. Today was a little bit fucked up just because, like I said, we tried to do a traveling episode. We ended up not doing it, but everything was just packed. So I'm still looking for that. That camera's actually just resting on that tripod. It's not actually even attached to it because I couldn't find the attachment.
We'll figure it out. We're getting better. Post Rolls Jiu-Jitsu. Tune in. We're going to get better and better.
That's true.
And we got more and more followers. And it's thanks for tuning in. The goal is to try and entertain you guys with this subject matter that's interesting to you. So please just follow us and enjoy what we're doing because we enjoy what you're doing. That's it, man. You roll a little bit. You chat a little bit. And that's what life is about. That is the human experience.
Rolling and chatting?
Rolling and chatting.
There's more to it than that.
There's like one thing. There's only one thing I can think of.
Well, you meet good people. And one of the things I was going to say just at the tail end, I make knives. I make culinary knives. And something really cool that happened today was I got to meet a private chef at Prism Jiu Jitsu. I don't anticipate to meet these people, but you run into people of all walks of life.
That's true.
And
That's right.
He's a super cool guy. He's from London. He's been on yachts and stuff. And I always love meeting the type of people that will be on the mats. And
totally,
I think there's a personality that goes with it. every lawyer I've met at jiu-jitsu has been a trial lawyer. I think there's something to the people that like want to fight.
Oh, respect.
Yeah,
Me too.
Like people want to
Me
get in
too.
there and get it. And so
Yeah.
I've always loved the community that comes with jiu-jitsu. So
Yeah.
I'm going to keep on doing it.
Shout out
Keep
for
on-
Josh. He was trying to take my head off like sushi.
Josh is this really small guy. He's like 140 pounds, and Miles just couldn't handle him. And that's all right.
That's right.
You know, there's no shame in that, Miles. It's okay.
All right, guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening, everybody. We're out.
Cheers. Next one.